Where we work, we win, said Nick Clegg, revelling in the Liberal Democrats' Eastleigh by-election victory today as he addressed the party's spring conference in Brighton. But the big issue was the coalition's plan to hold court hearings behind closed doors in some civil cases involving terror suspects. Last night, a leading QC, Dinah Rose, resigned from the party over the question. And today, Mr Clegg suffered further setbacks. This report from our political correspondent, Michael Crick, contains flash photography from the start.
Nick Clegg must have known activists were set to defeat him today on secret courts, but events turned out even worse than that. Rarely, if ever, has someone resigned their membership on stage at a party conference.
The party which stood up against 42-day detention, ID cards and the excesses of the war on terror is now led by those who, on this crucial issue, employ the same shoddy logic and who have fallen into the same anti-democratic realpolitik as the Blair government. On this issue, I must say, it's not me, Nick, it's you. Therefore, I am today resigning from the Liberal Democrat Party.
And Joe Shaw wasn't just an activist, but a former parliamentary candidate. In reply, the Justice Minister said secret courts were the only way to cope with some civil claims against the government brought by people suspected of terrorism.
That if we do not have the procedures by which we can examine some of these attacks on the behaviour of our security services, then they will go unchecked. Money will be paid in compensation, and reputation will be damaged because we will not have had the opportunity to defend the position.
Ministers were defeated. Then, as he closed the weekend, Nick Clegg couldn't resist defending fellow leader David Cameron against Tories who'd take his party to the right.
The Conservative Party kind of knows it needs to stay in the centre ground to have any chance of speaking to ordinary people's concerns. At least the leadership seem to. But they just can't manage it, no matter how hard they try. They're a bit like a kind of broken shopping trolley. Every time you try to push them straight ahead, they kind of veer off to the right-hand side.
And he exploited Tory leadership tensions with a rebuff for Theresa May after her talk of Britain leaving the European Convention on Human Rights.
Yesterday, Theresa May made a speech arguing that the option of leaving the convention should remain on the table. Well, I tell you, it won't be on the cabinet table so long as I'm sitting around it.
You can't trust the Tories to build a fairer society, was his message, or Labour to build a stronger economy.
And Michael Crick joins us now live from Brighton. So does Nick Clegg leave his conference better than he went into it?
Overall, just about, yes, I think so. I mean, after all, that's the purpose of conferences like this. On the other hand, there are plenty of black clouds around. First, that poll in The Observer today showing the Lib Dems on 8%, less than half the UKIP figure of 17%. Tomorrow, it gets worse. The man who very nearly became Liberal Democrat leader, Chris Huhne, is likely to be sent to jail, along with his former wife, Vicky Pryce, who was herself quite a prominent member of the party. But overall, Nick Clegg's speech today was an optimistic one. The sense here is of a reasonably happy party despite the divisions. Despite people like Vince Cable and Tim Farron arguing for alternative strategies in certain areas of policy, it's a pretty united party. There's no serious prospect, I don't think, at this stage of a leadership crisis. I don't think things are as serious as they are, perhaps for David Cameron. And I think there's also, although they're on 8% in the polls, there's been a lot of talk this weekend about moving from being the party of protest to the party of government. And as things stand, there is a prospect, I think, that the Liberal Democrats looking forward to perhaps another period of government after the election, perhaps not with the Conservatives, but with Labour. So it's not all doom and gloom by any means, I don't think, for this party.
Michael Crick in Brighton.